It was a tempestuous relationship. He had an affair, he left a couple of times, and then we got back together. He'd left a lot of debt behind him, so the suggestion was we move out to Dubai for 3 years, earn enough money to pay off all our debts, come back and start again. So we did. So we moved out there, relocated out there, but one day he just didn't come home. He was enjoying the Dubai life, as it were. He didn't want a wife and child with him. So Daisy and I decided to come back for a holiday, which we did. We never went back for other reasons. And then we were estranged for, must have been five or 6 years.
And then...
But then you got back together.
Yeah. Then he didn't have anything to do with Daisy for quite some time, but then we got back in contact and I started taking her out there for visits. And that was when he started talking to me about us reuniting and Daisy and I going back to Dubai.
So you stayed married to him?
Yeah.
You split up because you thought he was up to no good. You come back here, then you went back and you're still married to him and you considered getting back together.
Yeah. He'd already told me he'd split with Sue and that was all sorted.
So you knew he'd been having a relationship with Sue?
I knew he was with Sue, yeah.
Right, but he said that was over.
Yeah.
So you now think we're totally back on track, everything's lovely.
Yeah.
I'm here, it's Saturday night, sitting with my daughter, having a lovely time.
Yeah.
And then that bombshell of seeing him with Sue on this programme.
Yeah.
Explain what that felt like.
It didn't click at first. They were on about this wedding that was going to be happening live and we were just enjoying the show.
Yeah.
And then they showed the guests coming off the bus and my daughter Daisy said, "Oh my God, it's Dad." And she said, "And he's with Sue." She collapsed. She was in shock, total shock. I tried to ring him. I don't know, it was just an automatic response, but of course he didn't answer. And it was just like the bottom had fallen out of our world. It really was. I just thought, why did I trust him again?
Right, well, that's the story of the first Mrs. Gundry. Now let's meet the second. Please give a loose woman welcome to Sue, everybody. Hello, Sue. Hello. Thank you for coming in. Well, again, so complicated. I mean, when you were with Daniel, and in this night in particular, what story was he telling you? Did you know he was married or still married? Or
No, because I'd seen the decree absolute. So when we got married, part of the procedure is that you have to submit an original decree absolute and passport to the British Embassy. So I've seen it all, you know. So why would I even question it? You know, it's been submitted. So. You know, and before we went on the show, he actually sort of joked and said, "Oh, you know, this is Daisy and Helen's favourite show, and you know they're going to be so jealous and all this sort of stuff." Oh,
I can't believe that, and that's taken my breath away. That he was so callous.
Yeah. So once the show happened, did you then get in touch with Sue once you'd seen her on the telly?
I tried. Right. But he was working his magic. He made me out to be the crazy ex-wife, and I had.
Is that what he was telling you?
Yeah, he'd always maintained that story.
When did you find out that your divorce certificate was false?
He works for a big government organisation in Dubai, and he told me that the chief legal counsel was going to take our case and was going to sue the papers for defamation of character, and also for and against Helen for stalking me and harassing me. So after many emails from this chief legal counsel, which I then later found out he forged those as well. He called me up on his way back from work saying, "Oh, Helen's been arrested," you know, and I was just like, oh, such a relief. So I called the chief legal counsel to thank her because she'd been doing all this work on my behalf and I didn't even work for this company. So I called her and she answered the phone and she's like, "Who are you? What is, who is what?" I said, "Daniel's just left your office." And she said, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. So I called him and said, "Oh, I've just spoken to the chief legal counsel and she has no idea who you are." And he was like, "Oh, silly lady, I'll get her to call you back." And then I never saw him again. He just disappeared.
I can't believe it. But when you finally met, what did you decide to do about Daniel?
Well, I mean, I'd opened, well, originally Helen had opened a police case against him for bigamy, but then he lied to the policeman saying our wedding was just a blessing in Dubai. So then I contacted the same police officer and said, you know, no, this is not right. You know, he is married to me and here's the paperwork. So they did an investigation on him and then they've just given him a caution for bigamy and obstructing the police. And that's it. And that's, I mean, you know, if they'd sort of taken it seriously, we probably wouldn't have done this, and that would have been enough for me if he had a criminal record. But they've not taken it seriously. They've treated it like it was,
like it was nothing.
Well, we slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
We looked into this earlier, and the maximum sentence for bigamy is 7 years in prison or a fine. And it seems to me that both of you, that large chunks of your life have been absolutely treated shattered and treated with total disrespect.
We've put in a complaint. Yeah, we are complaining against them.
Would you get married again, either of you?
No.
No.
No.